Whittaker versus Darren Till is set to take place in the main event of UFC Fight Night Fight Island 3. Whittaker versus Till this weekend, and I can't wait for this matchup. I've been waiting for so long for this fight. It was originally scheduled for August 15th at UFC Fight Night Dublin. I was excited for it then, but now it's been pushed forward to the end of UFC Fight Island. I can't wait for this one. What better way to leave Fight Island with a main event of Whittaker versus Darren Till? I'm so looking forward to this matchup. Two of my favourite fighters in the UFC. First of all, you've got Whittaker, the #1 contender at middleweight, the former champion at middleweight as well until Israel Adesanya came along, took the belt from him, looking to get back into the title picture is Whittaker. If one big win against Darren Till, and listen, if Whittaker doesn't get an immediate title shot, he's only one fight away. That's the benefit of being in the situation that Whittaker is in. If he gets past Darren Till and Costa gets past Adesanya, who knows, he could get a title shot straight away. Really good position for Whittaker. For Darren Till, equally a very good position as well. Right now, ranked number 5 in the middleweight division, getting a shot against the #1 contender. Jared Cannonier was originally supposed to be fighting Whittaker at UFC 248, all the way back in March, I believe. Jared Cannonier got injured. Darren Till stuck his hand up, said, hey, I'm ready to fight the #1 contender. Darren Till gets to match up with Whittaker, stealing the opportunity from Jared Cannonier. Great move by Darren Till, you've got to give it to him, signing to fight a guy like Whittaker. If he beats Whittaker, Darren Till is 100% going to get a title shot. I know Jack Hermansson, in his fight against Kelvin Gastelum in his post-fight speech, said that he wants to take on the winner of Whittaker versus Till. I'm sorry to tell you, Jack Hermansson, but if Darren Till beats the #1 contender Whittaker, and Adesanya or Costa is champion, either one of them, but especially if Adesanya is champion, there's no way they're going to pass up on the opportunity to make Darren Till versus Israel Adesanya for the belt. Sorry, Jack Hermansson, but that's just the way things work. Darren Till versus Whittaker, let's talk about the fight. I can't wait. Amazing fight, two of my favourite fighters. Whittaker's rise through the middleweight division was nothing short of magnificent. He ran through every single killer there was to get through. Jacare, Romero twice to even be considered the world champion. I mean, it was a fucking crazy journey that he went on. There's a lot of damage that he takes over that journey as well. Darren Till, on the other hand, used to fight at welterweight. Both guys are similar in that way as well. Of course, Whittaker used to fight at welterweight as well. Darren Till came up at welterweight, had a tough time against Tyron Woodley, had an equally tough time, some say more of a tough time than against Jorge Masvidal at UFC London, got KO'd stiff. It was a time for him to move up to middleweight division. Look at Whittaker as well, TKO'd by Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, a clear sign that maybe you need to change things up and moves up to the middleweight division, and look what Whittaker did. And Darren Till came into the middleweight division and in his debut took on Kelvin Gastelum, and he was a huge underdog. I picked him to win because I thought he was a better striker than Kelvin Gastelum, and I think Kelvin Gastelum's a little bit overrated because he's only fought old Brazilians and older retired fighters past their prime on a week's notice after getting choked out by GSP, but still, I thought Till was going to beat Gastelum. He got past Gastelum. That means he's one fight away from a title shot, especially if that one fight is Whittaker. I think that Darren Till is going to beat Whittaker. I really think he is. I think Darren Till's going to go out there, touch up Whittaker in the first round. It's going to be a little bit patient. Till's going to get the better of the striking exchanges, and then I'm thinking at the end of the first round, Whittaker's going to look to get the round back because Darren Till is going to be up on strikes. Whittaker's going to look to get the round back, throw a lunging right hook that he does, and Darren Till's going to be looking for it. He's going to be ready for it. He's going to pull away, counter with a left hand, and TKO Whittaker at the end of round 1. If not, hurt Whittaker at the end of round 1 and finish him in the second round. I think that's what's going to happen. An amazing contest, don't get me wrong. Whittaker has every chance to go out there and KO Darren Till stiff, because we've seen it happen to Darren Till as well. And honestly, if there's an option for who has the better lead hook, Jorge Masvidal or Whittaker, I say that's a bit of a wash. Whittaker's got ridiculous power in that middleweight division, and people forget about that because Whittaker hasn't KO'd anyone in quite a long time after the 2 decisions with Yoel Romero. But before that, you're talking about a one-punch KO against Brad Tavares with a lead hook. He's had many a KO. Look what he did to Jacare. That free fight just got posted on YouTube, and everyone was reminded about how good Whittaker was, because it's very easy to forget who people were not too long ago. People look at the Adesanya versus Whittaker fight. They see Adesanya catch Whittaker twice in the fight, finish him off by TKO, and they just forget about the body of work that Whittaker put into that middleweight division before he got to the title, and everyone just remembers you from your last performance. And that is a very tough thing. That Jacare fight was nothing short of magnificent either. Showed great takedown defense. I don't think the grappling even needs to be considered in this matchup, because I thought that Robert Whittaker was going to try and go out there and grapple with Israel Adesanya. He chose not to whatsoever. He chose to strike with Israel Adesanya, even though Adesanya might have been, at the time, a more credentialed striker. Whittaker wanted to play Adesanya at his own game. I assume he's not going to go out there and try and grapple with Darren Till, because it's not like Darren Till's shown a weakness in his grappling. The only person who's been able to keep Darren Till on the ground is Tyron Woodley, and that was because he landed a massive right hand that put him there in the first place. Other than that, no one holds Darren Till down on the ground whatsoever. Kelvin Gastelum shot three takedowns, 2 takedowns in round 3 of their matchup at middleweight. Darren Till immediately gets back up. Darren Till has really good takedown defense. I don't think the grappling needs to ever be considered here. Whittaker does have an advantage to fall back on, but I wouldn't even say that either. Darren Till is a big guy for this division. I don't want either of these men. Whittaker is more of a welterweight than Darren Till is, but I don't want either of these men to be considered welterweights at middleweight, because if you remember Robert Whittaker down at welterweight, I have no idea how he ever made 170 pounds. And I say the same thing about Darren Till now. These are 2 middleweights that chose to torture themselves that now are not choosing to torture themselves. I don't want to use the word welterweights that are now middleweights. I don't want to do that. I may have done that earlier in this video, but I don't want to do that anymore. So from this minute on of the video, we're not doing that. These are 2 big middleweights with good power out there. I think Darren Till gets it done though, man. Elite strikers beat Robert Whittaker. The story has been told throughout Whittaker's career. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson outclasses Whittaker, TKOs him in the first round. Israel Adesanya, better striker. Beats up Whittaker in the first round. Not really, but it was a close fight in the first round. Knocks down Whittaker at the end of the first round. Then catches Whittaker in the second round as well. Beats him. Look at the Uriah Hall fight with Robert Whittaker. Look at the Rafael Natal fight with Robert Whittaker. We can go on and on and on. Strikers do really well against Robert Whittaker. Following that rule of thumb, I'm definitely going to be going with Darren Till for this fight. That's not the only reason I'm going with Darren Till, but it is one of the main reasons. I think elite strikers beat Robert Whittaker. I think Robert Whittaker has a massive advantage over grapplers that learn to strike, because normally when you're striking with a grappler, and this might be an advantage that Adesanya wouldn't have against a grappler, is you've got such a fear of being taken down that you don't get to look like the great striker that you are. Whittaker has such good takedown defense that he gets to look like an amazing striker against these grapplers that can't take him down. With other strikers against grapplers, they look a little bit off. They don't throw their shots with full commitment. They hesitate a lot as well, but Whittaker has none of those problems. Whittaker is the ideal anti-grappler, and he'll smoke them on the feet every single time. But against strikers, you're telling me that Till doesn't have to worry about takedowns? That's going to be a problem to me. I think Darren Till's got a perfect matchup for him here. I think there are many matchups in the middleweight division right now, including a guy like Jack Hermansson, which would be a terrible matchup for Darren Till. There are terrible matchups for Darren Till in that division. I actually feel like Jared Cannonier would give more problems to Darren Till than Robert Whittaker would. I just feel as though Robert Whittaker, the KO that he suffered against Israel Adesanya, it wasn't even a huge shot. It was a left hook. Fair enough, it landed perfectly on the jaw, and Whittaker had been dropped before that as well. I just think I saw the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of damage in Whittaker's career, because people talk about the Romero fights. People talk about those Romero fights. They do. They say, the Romero fights, they take a toll on Whittaker. And they will refuse to accept the Wonderboy TKO loss, the Court McGee fight where he lost and he got hit very hard, very often. The Uriah Hall fight, where he had his hands full against a striker in Uriah Hall. Another striker in Rafael Natal had a great fight with Robert Whittaker. Clint Hester cracked Robert Whittaker with a spinning elbow straight on the chin. Hurt him in that fight as well. Robert Whittaker has had some damaging fights throughout his career. And I feel as though Darren Till, being the fresher guy on the come up with less of that damage, even though he's been KO'd stiff, is still going to be able to go out there and beat Robert Whittaker. Now, Robert Whittaker has a really good chance of going out there and oblique kicking Darren Till straight away, and that could be something that comes into play, but Darren Till's got such massive legs. I think they're going to be hard to shift with an oblique kick, because he's got... If you've never seen Darren Till's legs, they're ridiculous. Now, Robert Whittaker's legs are pretty ridiculous as well, but we saw in the Yoel Romero fight, Whittaker was never able to damage the legs of Yoel Romero. Now, he was landing the oblique kick, but the point of landing that oblique kick is to tear apart an ACL, is to mess up an MCL, an LCL, any of those ligaments in the knee. You want them gone when you're throwing that oblique kick or lead side kick to the knee or thigh. That's what you want to get out of it. He didn't get any of those things out of it against Romero. He didn't even use them too much against Israel Adesanya either. I just feel like it's a bit... This might be it for Whittaker, and it hurts me to say that because he's been one of my favourite fighters for such a long time. I just feel as though when it comes to the hands, Till's going to have a huge advantage. I could see Till going out there and throwing a lot of leg kicks as well. He's got great leg kicks. Used them against Kelvin Gastelum. Ruined his legs in the first round, and Kelvin Gastelum couldn't even get off in the second or third to land anything of real significance. Till won that fight. I just feel as though elite strikers beat Robert Whittaker. I think Till's going to catch him. Whittaker's going to lunge in with a right hand, looking to score points back after being minorly outstruck in the first round. It's going to be a boring first round, in my opinion. We're not going to see much of anything. I say boring. I'm interested by it, but you know what I mean. It's not going to be an action-packed first round between these two guys. There's going to be a feeling-out process for sure. Darren Till is a master at just being one strike ahead. You saw that in the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight. People to this day ignore the Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight and just say it was a robbery. It was not a robbery. It was 2-2. Till was up on strikes in 2 rounds. Wonderboy was up on strikes in 2 rounds. Round 5, Till knocks him down. That's 3-2 to Darren Till. It wasn't a robbery whatsoever. If the same fight happened in America, instead of happening in Liverpool, no one would have a problem with the decision whatsoever. I don't know why they had a problem with it, but it was in Liverpool, so people assume bias. The same thing happened with Paul Felder versus Dan Hooker. People go into a fight when a hometown guy is fighting in his hometown, assuming that the judges are going to be against his opponent. That's not the case. The judges aren't even from that hometown most of the time. The judges are imported over from somewhere else. I believe the judges in Liverpool were American judges as well. Whittaker is going to lose to Darren Till. I really do believe that. I hope he doesn't get KO'd brutally. I think it's going to be a TKO finish, but I can just see Till catching him behind the ear, rocking him really badly. I don't see Whittaker recovering. I see Till beating him. Whittaker's very dangerous, very powerful. He couldn't reach Israel Adesanya. Gastelum could. Gastelum couldn't reach Till. You know, I know this is some bits of MMA math, but I'm using very specific parts of the fights to use my MMA math with in terms of reaching your opponent and being able to connect on their head. Whittaker couldn't do that to Adesanya like Gastelum could. Gastelum couldn't do that to Till like he could against Israel Adesanya. That's a very real thing in terms of how good someone is at controlling distance. And Whittaker's distance control is going to be huge in this fight. I could see him going for his own lead leg side kicks on Robert Whittaker to try and mess up his timing, because we already know that Robert Whittaker's knee is trashed. It got trashed in the Yoel Romero fight. So I think that Till's game plan is going to be able to negate Whittaker's. Whittaker's going to be going for the oblique kick. I think if Till goes for his own ones, we've seen Till use them effectively as well. Messed up the knee of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in their fight with lead kicks to the thigh. Side kicks to the thigh, messed up his tendons in his knee there. He can use them well. I think he's going to use them on Whittaker, which is going to discourage Whittaker from using him himself. Till's going to be up on strikes. Whittaker's going to lunge in looking for a big statement at the end of the round, like he did against Israel Adesanya in the first round as well. He was close in the first round of Adesanya versus Whittaker. Whittaker goes for one last big combo to try and secure himself the round. He gets caught. I think the same thing's going to happen with him and Darren Till. And I think we're going to see Darren Till versus Israel Adesanya or Paulo Costa next once Darren Till beats Robert Whittaker. But I don't even want to see either guy lose here. I'll be honest with you guys. I like both of these fighters. Whittaker has been one of my favourite fighters for the longest time. One of the best guys in the sport. If I had to recommend anyone to watch a fight, Romero versus Whittaker is in my list. 2, by the way. 1 can be in there anyway, but 1 wasn't as amazing as the second fight. I just feel like with the damage that Whittaker's taken over his career, the strikers do tend to do better or beat Whittaker as well. It just doesn't seem okay. This is a style matchup thing, and I think that Darren Till has the style to beat Robert Whittaker. The left hand's going to be there. I think he gets it done. I just hope that it's a good scrap while it lasts. I don't think it's going to be, but I just hope that both guys get to show off their skills, not to mention Darren Till's taller. They keep measuring him at 6 foot tall. They keep measuring him at 6 foot tall. They keep measuring Whittaker at 6 foot tall. Whittaker's 5'11". Darren Till's 6'1". There's going to be a size advantage in there. Whittaker's looking at, I mean, Till was looking in the best shape I've ever seen him in, especially at middleweight. And not to mention, in the first fight of Whittaker's middleweight debut, not Whittaker's middleweight debut, Till's middleweight debut, he was a few days before the fight was when he landed. He landed a few days before the fight. He had to cut weight, do the media rounds, co-main event of UFC 244, and he still won against Kelvin Gastelum. I think we haven't yet seen the best of Darren Till at middleweight. I think we're going to see it in this fight against Robert Whittaker. He looks stronger and he looks like he's got the most muscle mass I've ever seen on him before. From his pictures on Instagram, they look ridiculous. He's been training very hard, clearly. Surely all of that eating food and dips and all of this kind of stuff is a bit of a lie. Everyone has bad days where they have some chips and dip. I mean, come on, even fighters can do that on the weekends, I'm sure. He's definitely in shape. He's ready. I think we're going to see the better Darren Till on the night. Also a younger guy, still 27 years of age. Whittaker is getting up there at 29. And not to mention, it's like kind of like Jose Aldo. This is a different 29. This is not the 29-year-old that's just got to the rankings and is now looking to find his way towards a title shot. This is the 29-year-old that has been through the welterweight rankings, had his TKO losses there and had some wars there as well, and had his close fights there where he's taken damage. Moved up to middleweight, worked all the way through that division with his close fights, with damaging fights as well. Been TKO'd at middleweight, been dropped twice against Romero, been cracked against Romero, period. Even if you don't get knocked down or dropped, you're still taking concussive damage off Romero. I think Till catches him just by being a better striker. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. And if Till does win, fingers crossed Adesanya does as well. I think Costa's going to beat him, but fingers crossed Adesanya wins as well. We could have Till versus Adesanya at the end of the year. I couldn't think of a better way to have an end of the year than that. Amazing stuff. Amazing. I'm looking forward to this card. The whole card's good, but this main event is just the pièce de résistance. You know what I'm saying? Darren Till wins it by late first round TKO, while Whittaker tries to steal the round back after being minorly outstruck by Darren Till. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Goodbye.